Let me do an introduction.
Yeah, please.
First of all, I prepared a PowerPoint, but it's just not going to work here. It's too bright. Maybe this evening, when it gets a bit darker, we might try that. And so we won't have the PowerPoint in. But what I wanted to introduce on that was that James Edward Green, another one of the 38 Jim Rughs, has done a lot of work putting our genealogy into WikiTree. And 2 years ago, when we met in Greensburg, he did a nice presentation about our family history. And June, you can say, I guess we recorded it on Facebook and it disappeared. And we don't have the video of that anymore. Yes. But just like yesterday or so, he sent June his notes from that presentation. So Dave is going to read those notes, and a part of it I'll do in terms of the genealogy. What I'm going to show on the PowerPoint, when we have black curtains around here or something, when it gets darker, is a bit more of sort of an update of just a summary of our genealogy, but also pictures reminding us of 2 years ago when a bunch of us were together, and then talking more about my work is collecting data on living Rughs. So we have the dead Rugh, Jim Rugh, and we have the living Jim Rugh. Anyway, Dave is going to begin by sharing with all of us the notes that Jim E. Rugh has shared for our presentation this year.
Thank you, Jim W. Nice introduction.
And this is David John, not those other David John.
This one's David John Rugh. And when I was born, you wanted me to be John. So it's kind of interesting how we have so many J's around anymore. The title is, What is a Rugh? So as you say, there's a 2023 reunion. Jimmy did this, and I find this to be excellent research. He's really done a thorough job in pulling the pieces together. So June has added some information, and I've dug up a few things to elaborate on it. I am honored to provide this review to you now. Jim E. started by reading a part of a letter from Belle Dorman Rugh, who married into the Rugh family. She was born in Lebanon and lived in China and the U.S., was fluent in several languages, and as the author of several children's books, she had a way with words. So my question to you is, how many people have met Belle Rugh?
I have. She was my mother.
I'm not seeing many hands. Can you see hands again? Oh, that's very few.
And one behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Belle is a wonderful person. Here's what Belle said. I got to thinking about this Rugh family, which I joined so long ago, and which I helped to augment. What are the traits in this family which charm so many of us with such lasting and cumulative effects? Of course, the list would be long, but I can think of a couple of outstanding ones. First, nonconformity. None of the Rughs I've known have been conformists. Basically, this makes them interesting and unpredictable, even mystifying, and totally endearing. Am I a conformist by reading all of this?
Don't wreck it.
Okay, I will try to conform. Another outstanding trait is the Rugh interest in people, all sorts of people. The visiting celebrity and the garbage man, the Chinese sage and the little Arab messenger boy, relatives, and the lucky fellow who sits down next to a Rugh on the bus. Other traits, like fondness for discussion on almost anything. You take that side and I'll take this. A love of the outdoors, and in general, a cosmic outlook on life and the future. So that's the end of the quote from Belle. Maybe some of you have discovered similar things about yourself and or other Rughs. You remember phone books?
Oh yeah.
Who looked up Rughs in phone books when traveling? Yeah, always curious about what other Rughs are around. It's an unusual name, isn't it?
Yeah.
We can assume that anyone else who with a Rugh name is related to us. However, I need to add this. You might be able to help me with this, Jim. There is a story of a man who escaped communist China long ago by entering Hong Kong, where he was helped by Rugh missionaries. I think Dwight Rugh. This Chinese man was so impressed with their help that he changed his name to Rugh.
Cool.
Genetically, he's kind of distant from us. There is a book called Look Behind Your Mirror, Some Descendants of Michael Ruch. This takes us back to our immigrant ancestor, Michael Ruch. Immigrant ancestors are a big deal for American genealogists because they represent a convenient point of demarcation between the old country and the new country. So, who is Michael Ruch? He was born Michael Ruch, R-U-C-H, in Basse-Rhin, Alsace, France, 1723. It was his 300th birthday that we celebrated during the first nationwide Rugh Reunion, May 2023, in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. Michael was a Lutheran and was part of a great Palatine migration. By the way, to the English-speaking colonists, anyone who spoke German was considered a Palatine, although the actual Palatine region of Germany was farther to the northeast. Michael's parents, Hans George and Katharina, brought their 4 children, George Jr., Jacob, Michael, and Maria Eve. Remember that name, Maria? To the Pennsylvania colony aboard the ship Samuel in 1733. Think about this for a moment. Ocean journeys were difficult and dangerous in those days, and Mike was only 10 years old. Alsace lies along the eastern border of France, where the Rhine River separates it from Germany. At the time, Alsace was a part of Germany. Our Ruch family's journey would have started here. They would have taken a river boat 350 miles up the Rhine River to Rotterdam off of Holland. This first leg of their journey would have taken them 2 to 3 weeks. Once they reached Rotterdam, their first task was to locate the ship Samuel and its master, Hugh Percy. They checked in and stored their luggage in the hold. They bought butter, cheese, and smoked fish. The 291 passengers set sail for Deal, England, near Dover. There they took on more provisions and crew members. Let's have a show of hands. How many people have traveled here from other states?
Today?
Today, yeah.
Oh, not today.
Just
For the reunion.
For this reunion.
for the reunion.
Oh,
Okay, a
okay.
couple. And how many of you have spent 3 months on the ocean?
Well, not all at the same time, but at different times, yeah.
In the
Some of
Navy.
our cruises, one time,
We got one.
I'm supposed to say in a creaky wooden sailing ship, but being at sea is not.
No.
World War II had a bunch of ships sunk in the Suez, and so when we were leaving India, we went all the way around Africa, up to England and across. That was a long, long trip.
Thereby being a true Rugh and not sticking to the script.
Yes.
Perfect.
The Samuel, that ship, was a type of sailing ship called a snow, a large and fast for the day, 2-masted vessel about 140 feet long. Sleeping quarters were below deck for families, for single men, and for single women. Each person had a space about 6 feet by 2 feet with 5 feet of headroom. There was little privacy. Crew members had their own quarters. The captain promised to supply water, flour, and some dried meat and peas, as well as cheese. There's no milk or fruit or fresh vegetables. It took a lot of food to feed 291 people plus crew for 3 months. Most of the passengers were Lutheran. Daily prayers were held, church services on Sundays. Men walked on deck and helped with chores of sailing. The families took turns cooking on the iron grates. The women cooked and cleaned and tried to keep the little ones from falling overboard. The older children were a great help at telling stories to the young ones. Eventually, they were out on the open ocean. The captain said the 4,000-mile trip to Philadelphia would take about 3 months, if the winds were favorable.
Wow.
The ship went south about 1,000 miles to the Canary Islands to pick up the trade winds, helping speed them across the Atlantic. The trip was hardest on the very young. On these voyages, there would be births, illnesses, and some deaths. Wind and rainstorms made the going rough. At night, the cries of the young, the moans of the ill, and the groans of the old would have made it difficult to sleep. When the wind roared, the boat creaked, and waves shook the timbers. Then, one day, land was sighted. Yay! Green fields and houses came into view, and finally, the port of Philadelphia. The captain reminded the passengers that England and the colonies were still on the old Gregorian calendar, 11 days behind Germany. The ship anchored at Philadelphia on August 17th, 1733. That was 292 years ago today.
Tomorrow.
Oh, 17, yes. I'm on a different calendar. The Samuel was the first of 7 ships to arrive in 1733. The captain turned in his list of 90 names, that is, men over 16 years old. The men had to go to Philadelphia courthouse and take the oath of allegiance to the British crown. Hans George and family settled in Whitehall Township, which is north of Allentown. His wife, Katrina, died shortly after arriving, but Hans George remarried a 3rd time, lived a long life, and fathered 11 Rugh children in total. Hans George was buried at the Jordan Lutheran Church Cemetery. His tombstone is gone now, but we have photo proof of it. The tombstone says that he was born in Zittendorf in Alsace. That he was 104 years old when he died in 1769, though we're not sure that's true.
We're pretty sure it's not true.
Pretty sure it's not true. By the way, Dan Rugh, a cousin based in Pennsylvania, whom we met at the 2023 Rugh Reunion, and whose printing company produces the Rugh family T-shirts, visited Zoutenzor, France this summer and located the church where Michael Ruch was baptized. You can see some of the photos on his Facebook page. We hope you'll post some photos in the new Ruch family website too. And now, back to Michael Ruch, Hans George's son. Michael married Anna Francina Merkel in 1745, and they had 8 children. At some point around 1746, while they were still living in eastern Pennsylvania, we begin to see the Ruch spelling associated with Michael and Francina's children. We don't know why the spelling changed. Well, that's one idea. But perhaps it was an effort to keep the pronunciation as Ruch rather than Ruck or Rush or Ruff.
And this, sorry, just to clarify, maybe everyone else understands, this is changing the name from R-U-C-H to R-U-G-H.
That's right.
Okay.
All of us Ruchs here today are descendants of Michael, or more precisely, from 2 of his sons, Peter and Jacob. Let me talk about Westmoreland County. Michael Ruch and his family moved to Westmoreland County in 1771. They homesteaded a very large tract of land, much of which became South Greensburg, and built a fort known as Ruch's Block House located near Greensburg. The fort was a 2-story log house with musket portholes. In 1773, Michael and others formed the new county of Westmoreland, and Michael was appointed as one of the 14 original Westmoreland County judges. He also helped to set up the new county seat at the home of Robert Hanna. The town became known as Hannastown or Hannastown. During the American Revolution, Michael was the Westmoreland County Militia Commissioner of Purchases, and his blockhouse was used as a supply depot. And yes, Michael is registered as a DAR Patriot ancestor. Now, about one of Michael Ruch's sons, Michael Jr., the famous burning of Hannastown occurred in July 1782, which is actually after the official ending of the Revolutionary War. The British had already surrendered at Yorktown the previous year, but British soldiers, assisted by Seneca Indians, I don't like calling them Indians, let's call them indigenous people, continued harassing colonists in an attempt to discourage them from migrating further west. Michael Ruch Jr. and his wife Phoebe Hawkins, their young daughter Mary, and infant son George were captured by Senecas, and their home was burned. Another group of Senecas and British soldiers attacked, totally burned, and destroyed the county seat of Hannastown. Michael Jr.'s mother, Francina, was probably killed in the Hannastown attack. For a fuller historical context, during the Revolutionary War, the Native Americans were essentially forced to choose between allying with the British or the colonists.
Can everyone hear, by the way? Okay.
The Senecas, whose native ground was what is now New York State, had allied with the British, joined British troops in several battles against the settlers. 3 years before the attack on Hannastown in 1779, George Washington, we all know who George Washington is, launched a scorched earth 5-month military attack on Seneca's land up north, razing 40 villages to the ground and burning all the crop land. Hundreds fled, and many of the survivors starved to death. Historically, this is known as the Sullivan Expedition. So the Senecas had their own reasons for attacking colonial settlers, including those in Hannastown. Michael Jr.'s family was taken to a Native American village near what is now Oil City, where they spent the winter. Their infant son, George, didn't survive. The following spring, Michael and Phoebe Rugh were taken separately to Canada and held as prisoners by the British. Although Michael and Phoebe were held in the same location in Canada, for some reason they didn't know the other was there. Their daughter Mary, remember, Mary was kept behind with the tribe and was adopted by an elderly Native American woman. Her parents would not see her again for the next 8 years. The Rughs remained in Canada for 3 years until their release, and then made their way to New York City. From there, they returned to their Franklin Township property, where they built another log cabin and began a long search for their missing daughter. After the Revolution, a new state government was formed, and Michael Jr. was elected to the House of Representatives in Philadelphia, representing Westmoreland County. When he told his fellow delegates about his missing daughter, one of them remembered seeing a white girl living with Indians, with the Senecas, near the Susquehanna River.
Actually, that wouldn't have been Senecas, that would have been probably Lenape, local Indians.
Other Indian,
Yeah, other
thank you.
Indians, Native Americans, yeah.
Indigenous
Sorry.
people.
Indigenous people, yes.
I'm an Indian American or American Indian because I was born in India.
Correct.
These are not
Understand,
Indians.
yes.
Right.
When Mary was found, her face and arms were stained to hide her identity. She no longer spoke English and did not want to leave her Native American family. The sum of $10 was paid for her release, and she was returned to her parents, whom she no longer recognized. Although it took several years to adjust to life with her family, Mary was re-educated in English and eventually married Jacob Haymaker. Mary adjusted to some extent but oral history handed down by the Rugh family says that when the brisk fall weather set in, Mary's husband and children would watch over her because she tended to go off into the surrounding forest, sometimes for several days. This is a poignant note. It seems that part of her longed to return to the life she once knew. Let's backtrack to Michael Ruch's ancestors. His father was Hans George. Several years ago, a researcher discovered George and his father, Michael's grandfather, Melchior, in Alsatian church records. Melchior was born in 1644, and he lived most, if not all, of his life as a shepherd in Alsace. There has long been speculation that the Rugh family may have originated in Emmental, which is now a part of the canton of Bern in Switzerland. The Rugh surname is indeed common in Emmental area. However, as of today, we do not have any evidence to link Melchior Ruch of Alsace with the Swiss Ruchs. We are always learning. Going back even further, I found some interesting things online. The surname Ruch was first found in Bavaria, where the name was anciently associated with the tribal conflicts of the area. Literally, the name refers to smoke generated by smithies. For instance, a smith in Zurich was known as Meister Röchel, literally Mr. Smoke. That was in 1468. The various branches of the Ruch and Röcheln families declared allegiances to many nobles and princes of early history, lending their influence in struggles for power and status within the region. The ancestral home of the Ruch family is in the German province of Bavaria. Ruch is a German nickname or surname. Such names came from names or added names that describe their initial bearer through reference to a physical characteristic or other attribute. It is the name for a shaggy or unkempt person, stemming from the German word hoch, meaning rough or hairy. As with many early names such as this, the reference was often in jest. We are jesting here, aren't we? Okay, let's learn about the genealogy. Can you read this, or you want to go?
I've got it on my screen.
Okay, I'm shutting
I
down.
like a brighter screen. He's got white on black, I've got black on white.
Can we make that a separate video?
Yep.
Okay.